It's time to dive into the depths of Savathun's throne world to face off against Heimiks in the birthplace of the vile Grandmaster. Salutations, cadets, I am your Commander Pika, and today let's go over some tips, recommended loadouts for all players, and walk you through this GM. If viewing in a future season, strats and spawns should stay constant, just substitute seasonal anti-champion methods. Let's dive in. For the GM modifier specific to Birthplace, you have Scorched Earth, enemies throw grenades significantly more often, Empath, Enhanced Radar, 12 Overload and 8 Unstoppable Champions, Void and Random Shields, and Void Burn. This strike is unique in that 2 of the Chieftain's shield before the first portal are random between the 3 light elements, so for an easier time, bring in Hard Light, Arbalest, or a variety of elements. That being said, since it's only 2 shields, team shooting with mismatched elements will suffice, so run a full Void loadout to maximize burn or whatever build suits your style. Because of the density of ad waves, spec more into high uptime crowd control builds such as Stasis, Void Suppression, Arc Blind, and Blinding Grenade Launchers. For defense, make sure to maximize your resilience, and it's highly advised to slot in Void Resist due to the myriad of enemy Void attacks and lethality of Scorn Void Fire grenades. For offense, ideally have one Guardian rocking Lucent Finisher for more heavy ammo and Weaken Clear for an easy debuff. For accessibility, we'll be going over minimum spec loadouts first, meaning owning Witch Queen and any and all currently obtainable free-to-play gear only. For exotic weapons, top contenders are Osteostriga, Hardlight, Collective Obligation, and Fighting Lion. Looking at anti-champion weapons, on screen now are some viable options, with my top picks being Exalted Truth, Fatebringer, Pardon Our Dust, and Doom of Chelchis. For heavy weapons, Taipan 4FR should be your go-to, for rocket DPS then Red Herring or Royal Entry, and for ad clear then Corrective Measure or Retrofit Escapade. Round this out with potential special weapons like Pardon Our Dust, Riptide, or Fugue 55. Looking to loadouts and builds, select Void to maximize burn, crowd control capabilities, or builds that you find successful. Destructive Titans, equip your favorite Void Super and Grenade. For defensive options, choose Crest of Alpha Lupi or Mask of the Quiet One. Going on the offensive, then Armamentarium, Doomfang Pauldrons, or Second Chance. To mix things up, Lorelei Splendor Helm on Solar is great for survivability and ability uptime, as well as a good old Arc 3.0 with Armamentarium. For my recommended loadout, equip Armamentarium, Vortex or Suppressor Grenades, Super of Choice, and then the Aspects Control Demolitionist and Bastion, and then Pardon Our Dust, Hardlight, and Taipan 4FR. If you have a Repulsor Brace weapon and you can keep that Void Overshield up, then sub out Bastion and sub in Offensive Bulwark, Doom of Chelchis, and Exalted Truth. Sneaky Hunters, Void is amazing here. Select Orpheus Rig and Deadfall Tether to immediately control the wave of enemies, regen your super, and give orbs to your team. Favor explosions, then don Gerfalcon's Halberd. Safety and faster abilities, then Graviton Forfeit or Frosties. For my recommended loadout, Deadfall Tether with Orpheus Rig, Suppressor or Vortex Grenades, Trapper's Ambush and Vanishing Step, then Pardon Our Dust, Hardlight, and Taipan. For more explosions and overshields, then give Gerfalcon a spin, subbing out Trapper's Ambush for Stylish Executioner and donning Collective Obligation, Exalted Truth, or Doom of Chelchis. Wondrous Warlocks, equip your Nova Bomb of choice. Safe and simple exotics, choose Eye of Another World or the Stag. Wanting for more destruction, then Nezarec Sin, Verity's Brow, or Seek Filaments to spam your abilities. If you desire more safety, then try Well of Radiance or Chaos Reach and Arc Souls with the Stag. For my recommended loadout, Vortex Nova Bomb and Vortex Grenades, Chaos Accelerant and the aspect of your choosing, with Pardon Our Dust, Hardlight, and Taipan. Wanting more power, aspects, and a challenge, then try Secant Filaments with Child of the Old Gods, Chaos Accelerant, and Collective Obligation. And for all classes, if you want to be a team player, then equip Aeons and Lucent Finisher to make heaps of heavy ammo for your team. On to maximum spec, going under the assumption you own every expansion and all currently obtainable gear. Standout exotic weapons are on screen now, with my top picks being Aegir's Scepter for freezing all the enemies, Witherhoard for easy debuffs, DPS, and crowd control, Lemon Arc for overload, damage, and global damage over time, and Divinity for quick overload stun and large crits for the boss. For exotic armor, Titans, select from Heart of Inmost Light or Ursa Furiosa, with Heart being the easiest and best option to maximize ability uptime. Hunters can choose Omnioculus to safely move your team around tricky situations. And Warlocks now have Contraverse Hold or Nothing Manacles for better grenade uptime, Necrotic Grip to spread poison when wielding Thorn or Osteostriga, or Stasis Shadebinder with Osmiomancy Gloves to really freeze your foes in place. Like with Warlock, Stasis is an option to consider since it's perfect for keeping enemies off the plates in those encounters, as well as buying you time to focus key targets. Other legendary weapons worth considering are Unforgiven, Wilderflight, Lingering Dread, and Tarnished Metal. For my loadout recommendations, Titans, just substitute Armamentarium for Heart of Inmost Light for better and faster abilities. Pair with Divinity or Witherhoard to help with team debuffs, stun, and damage. Hunters, Gerfalcon or Orpheus Rig are still my recommendations, but maybe try out Lingering Dread and Lemon Arc for more explosive poison. Warlocks, try Shadebinder with Bleak Watcher and Ice Flare bolts to stop your enemy in their tracks. For fun, Necrotic Grip with Osteostriga for poison ice, or Osmiomancy and Aegis to double down on freeze. And then if you decide on a rocket for DPS, then pair a Galahorn with a Void Rocket and finish champs when you get the chance. With that, on to the walkthrough. As you load in, don't immediately sparrow on ahead. There is a chance that public space enemies are guarding the entrance. They die quickly, but they hurt like any other GM enemy. So if they are there, kill them, otherwise sparrow on through. Once through the tunnels, post up and use crowd control abilities to deal with and stagger the adds as they come up the ramp. 2 slightly staggered groups of enemies with 1 Overload Chieftain in each, along with Stasis Ravagers, and race that rush. Take your time, retreat further back up if need be. Once they are dealt with, for safety, have only one person jump across the gap to trigger the spawning of the mini-boss, Unstoppable Champion, and several Scorn snipers. Use range and cover to deal with them. Getting rid of the snipers first allows more safety. Getting rid of the mini-boss first gets rid of the potential immunity totems. And champ first eliminates a target that will rush you. If things ever go bad, just retreat back up the ramp, delete the snipers, and then push back up. For the plate encounter, you have 2 options. Challenge and speed, have a guardian stay on the plate the whole time with the others at staggered vantage points to kill the adds as they keep spawning. If you have a bubble or graviton hunter that can go perpetually invisible, this further trivializes it. Option 2, you can just activate the plate, step off it, then go back near the entrance and just keep dealing with the waves of scorn until they stop spawning. There's a limited number of waves, so after a certain point, they will stop spawning and you can just safely capture the plate with no issues. At any point, if things go south, just retreat to cover near the entrance. Once that's accomplished, carefully make your way out the door. There will be snipers on the left ledge looking at you, as well as a wave of stalkers in front of you that will throw many deadly void grenades at you. Depending on resist and resil values, they will pretty much one-shot you, so take your time. At the far end of the room, you will have some clustered enemies with an Overload Chieftain and Unstoppable Abomination. That Overload can throw down some immunity totems, so try to pick off the Unstoppable at range before you jump over, or identify and destroy that totem so you can deal with the wave. Perfect time to also get a finisher or 2 to replenish missing heavy ammo. When outside to traverse the Dark City, try to throw CC abilities like grenades and tether right at the door to quickly deal with the scorn that flood out. Be cautious when entering this room, as this is where you'll deal with 2 chieftains that have random elemental shields, stasis lurkers rushing you, and then lots of scorn and an overload jumping back and forth from the platform on the left side. So pick off enemies at range, throw a grenade up on the left platform, and then try to push inside. If you have means of invis, that's a great option to safely enter and go to the top left corner platform. Clear the room, open the portal, and jump in. First portal section is just a long hallway with numerous screebs and sniper raiders. The screebs rush, hide, fall from the sky, and have staggered spawns, so don't be in a rush to move forward. Slow and steady does win the race. Before jumping across the gap, get rid of the snipers and then don't have everyone be clumped together on the other side. Stagger your locations in case a screeb decides to hug you. When Overload Champion guarding the exit, finish them off and then jump through. Once in the grandiose room, you are tasked to disable 2 resonance slabs, i.e. capture 2 plates. When you enter, you are greeted by 2 unstoppable champions. Ideally stun and delete one of them right away for more flexibility and movement around the remaining enemies. Use the structures near the entrance for cover in between stuns. For capturing the plates, doesn't matter the order you do it in, just go as a group, do not split up. If you have perpetual invis hunters, they can easily capture the plate. Otherwise, like before, have one person step on the plate and the other guardians spread out, controlling the wave of adds as they spawn. Many screebs and lurkers rush at you, as well as a void shielded chieftain that will spawn close to the plate. Just try to kill them, blind them, and control them by any means. Then just repeat for the second plate. Just spread out, communicate, and if things go sideways, just retreat and try again. If your team is well equipped and experienced, then try to capture both plates simultaneously. It's just safer to travel as a group. With both plates captured, jump across the platforms and defeat the Scorn wave with an unstoppable guarding the portal. Go inside and travel as a group. Doesn't matter what path you choose, just be aware of possible Ravagers coming up from behind you and the many Scorn jumping across the gaps that can push you to your doom. At the final platform you'll be greeted by an overload. Be aware, their arc grenade launcher does have physics to it and can prevent you from jumping, so stun them before you jump the gap. The final bridge section can be a major hurdle. For starters, just let the adds in the room funnel towards the entrance to make them easier to take out with well-placed grenades. Just use the doorway as cover and try to thin the herd before entering. You'll then have 2 overloads at the far side throwing immunity totems on the ground, so find different angles to destroy them and then get some finishers off on the champs to stock up on heavy ammo. On the actual bridge portion, it's just a wide open area with limited cover with everything coming at you. Grenades, a deadfall tether, and stasis effects are great at keeping a bulk of the wave at the bottom of the ramp. Ideally play as far up the ramp as possible to avoid drawing the aggro of the Unstoppables and lesser enemies. Depending on the toxicity of the Scorn, there might be several immunity totems placed on the field. To limit them, focus the 2 mini-boss Light Scourges and the Void Shield Chieftains first. If the Unstoppables notice you, then shift focus to them as their lightning attack has some pretty ridiculous range. Finish everything off, grab some ammo, and on to the final boss. Facing off against Heimiks, the fight will be divided into 3 phases. Keep moving and be aware of your surroundings at all times. The boss moves quite a bit and is usually immune and invisible when he does. It's very easy to get surprised, ground pounded, and defeated. Lots of waves of adds, but like the plate encounters, enemies will eventually stop spawning, so either keep dealing with the enemies until they stop appearing, then focus the boss, or mix in boss DPS in between waves. Phase 1. Large group of enemies spawn in the middle on top of the boss. Amongst that wave is an overload. Ideally thin the herd and delete the champ as quick as you can to allow more freedom and less immunity totems. After that, just head on a swivel and communicate. Boss will keep running around, shooting, dropping totems, all the while more waves of enemies stagger spawn. So commit to DPS while you are alone, and then focus on the waves when they spawn. This is also a great spot for a divinity user to make targeting the boss much easier. His crit isn't super small, but him constantly running around makes it difficult to track. Once at 2/3 health remaining, you'll get teleported into the first portal area. Like before, take it slow and watch for the horde of screebs coming from all sides. This is the same corridor, so any ammo that was left there previously should still be there. Finish the overload of the distant portal, and then all go through at the same time. If you want to, you can wait to jump in until you have all your neutral abilities back. Phase 2. This time you have 2 waves of adds that spawn. The much larger of the groups will have the unstoppable champion, so like previously, stun and get rid of them quickly for more breathing room. Then just repeat phase 1, run around, DPS, focus adds that spawn, DPS, etc. Just a constant dance until you get to 1/3 health. Upon that threshold, you'll be teleported to the second portal area. Just like previously, travel as a group, watch for potential Scorn flanking you, finish the overload at the end, and jump through when you are ready. Phase 3. 2 waves of adds, 1 has an overload champion. Stun and delete them, and then just do the dance with the boss. This is the home stretch, so no need to get greedy. Focus the lesser enemies, then the boss, repeat until victory. GG on conquering that giant Scorn. The constant onslaught of foes can be rough, so if you had trouble, dust yourself off and try again with more stasis, void debuffs, and blinding tools. If instead you're doing this on Master difficulty, it adds the negative modifier Famine, less ammo drops, and the daily rotating elemental modifier of Ashes to Ashes, Lightning Crystals, and Subtle Foes. So tackle on Lightning Crystals to spam even more deadly arc abilities, and bring a means of generating more ammo like Aeons, Lucent, and Special Finisher. If you have any questions or recommendations for your fellow Guardians, leave them down below. Otherwise, if you're looking to find chill and helpful people in the world of Destiny 2, then come join the Sundog Gaming Discord. And for future guides, tips, and content, make sure to hit that subscribe button. As always, I am your Commander Pika. Be kind, have fun, and I'll see you on the battlefield.